Good afternoon. Wanted to make this video on how to help in the winter months with the flu and your immune system and body support. Uh, my wife is a resident doctor, and I have just started my studies to become a certified nutritional counselor. So, disclaimer, everything here that is said, this is what has helped us and our family, and you do your own work and your own research and do what is best for your own body, and go from there. There are a couple key points that I wanted to hit on how to have good health. First one being vitamins. Since we don't get enough from the food that we eat, and usually if we eat junk food, we don't get any at all. So in order to supplement, the first one I would start out with is vitamin D, which is important, as you can see on the label. Support a healthy immune system and bone health. Vitamin D helps in the absorption and use of calcium in your body, and it is like a delivery vehicle and a driver, a chauffeur. Best to be taken with coral calcium or eggshell calcium, since the rest of the body uses calcium a lot and vitamin D is that driver. You will want to supplement with the calcium. It can be taken between 1,000 to 10,000 international units a day. More so in the winter time. On average, from the articles I've read, it is recommended between 1 and 4,000. 2,000, 3,000 is a good amount. They say if you're prenatal, 4,000 is good. If you have any kind of severe chronic illnesses or cancers, between 6 to 10,000 international units a day. Now that you have vitamin D, which is critical and important in the wintertime since we don't get enough sun, the next thing would be your mineral supplements, especially calcium. Since it's good support for good bone and teeth health. You need that, helping to clot blood properly. Also supports nerve health, supports muscle and organ health. And as I've just mentioned, it will use vitamin D as the delivery vehicle to get it in and out of your bones as efficiently as possible. Next, we will go to vitamin C. As you can see here, one tablet of 500 milligrams. They recommend on average 1,000, so 2 tablets of these to 2,000, 4 tablets if you're sick, for general support and immune health. And just like with anything else, use synergy for your benefit. I recommend daily multivitamin, whether it be for men, women, over the age of 40 or 50, you'd use even more. Or prenatal, they would have a special one for that. Get a good daily multivitamin. Next would be liquids. I highly recommend getting filtered water and tea. As you see here, the kind of tea I would recommend is elderberry, echinacea. There's a good one with lemon throat. Also, if you have any kind of coughs, I really like the Flora brand, and they have the bronchial tea. And then they have some other ones. Highly recommended tea from what I've seen. I have suffered with just plain old dry coughing for more than 10 years. After using this tea on and off for a good couple months now, it has definitely cleared that up, and I don't have that dry, nasty cough as often anymore. So use that with lemon, add that to your cold water, add that to your teas and your hot water, add honey, although try to stay down on your sugar consumption and levels, and try to drink a lot of hot water or warm water. No cold water, no pop. Try to do as little on the juice. Next up is to eat healthy. As you see here, fruits, vegetables. Highly recommend doing at least 60 to 70% of fruits and vegetables a day. Try to stay away from prepackaged foods, carb high foods, and get lots of rest. At least your 7, 8, 9 hours of rest a day, especially when sick. One thing that I would like to mention is my wife, it was hard to get her to do vitamins daily, but I do them, and she is now becoming more and more of a believer in them, and she wanted me to mention and show the little row of vitamins I prepare for her to take daily. One thing I wanted to talk about is the kind of vitamins. I'm trying to switch over to organic, non-GMO, bioavailable, and as you can see, here's an organic versus a non-organic, which looks pretty filtered down. So I want to do a video in the future and a test between the two and buy a certain amount and test them. So if you guys have any good ways to test them, or anything you would like me to do with them, let me know in the comments below. Another point I wanted to hit on was, which used to be pretty common sense, was quarantine. If somebody was sick, you locked them up, you didn't talk to them, you try to not breathe around them, which I think is also important. If you have sick family and friends, don't just go over partying, breathing on each other. Try to stay away for a couple days, usually at least 3 days after somebody is sick. When you're, especially on public transportation, whether taking the subway or the bus, try to only breathe with your nose, because your nose has natural antimicrobial properties and filters everything. That is why a lot of us, suffer with sinuses. Good way to do is wash it out with saline, salt. Make sure to get these cleared up every so often, at least once a month. I would recommend in the wintertime. And remember to cover your mouth, especially if you're sick. Cough into your elbow. Don't cough all over other people. And last but not least, and I think it is very important and is not talked about that much, is to dress warmly. Dress warmly, dress warmly. Keep your body heat in. And about 10% of your body heat escapes through your head. It used to be thought of that as much as 40, 30, even 20% escaped, but now it's around 10 to 14% from what scientists say. But a lot of people, for some reason, think that doesn't really matter, does not play a big role. So let me talk about some examples. Pretend or think about that you have a business or a store or a home, and you open 10% of your windows. Will that not be a big deal, paying for that extra 10%? And will that 10% of your windows and doors being open, do you not think you will feel any kind of cold coming in? So if it is important to seal and keep our businesses and our houses warm, how much more important is it to keep this temple in our body sealed and secured and warm, and for the heat from escaping? Another example I'd like to talk about is, imagine you are a soldier without a helmet, a daredevil or a biker or a skateboarder also without a helmet. What's so important about protecting that 10%? Yet that 10% is vital and important, and that's why so many of us cover it with helmets and everything, but yet when it comes to the cold and defending it, wearing a hat, we don't do it. And just mind-boggling to me why we don't do it, even though it's so important for your body's defense. So let me give you an example or analogy, metaphor. Pretend there's a castle with walls around it, and then there's a top section in the shape of a head which has naked soldiers protecting it. How well do you think those soldiers will be able to protect that castle? I don't think they'll be, even if they have the right amount of tools, the right amount of swords, but since they are freezing and cold, they're not going to be able to protect it that much, and that is where the enemy will try to hit. Same thing with our body. Our blood is the supplier of all these nutrients, vitamins, and as a defense for us. Yet in our head, when we are cold, there's not so much supply of that. And wouldn't you want to have as much optimal protection and supply in your whole body? So these are the steps that I take to keep my body and immune system strong and fortified with the ammo to fight. For you are what you eat, breathe, do, and how you protect yourself. And don't forget that, and take the most care of your body. And one more thing, which I forgot to mention, but I think it's pretty important, critical, is my opinion on the flu shot. And you have to remember this is just my opinion. My wife, working as a doctor, she really wanted to get it, but she didn't. We have some family that did get it, the flu shot, and yet they were sick multiple times this winter. And as we know, the highest percent effectiveness this winter is around maximum of 10%. And even though, and then most people that got the flu shot ended up being sick. So for those who know me, I am more leaning on anti-vax or anti-flu shot, and my reasons are, if they were just the natural ingredients, which they're not, they have a ton of cancer-causing ingredients which are stuck into them. So then I beg the question: why go around the natural defenses that God has given us of the skin, of the gut, of the sinuses and the mucus, and throw something into our body going around all that? And going back to the example of warfare or a fortified fort or castle, it's the same thing as taking some scary old nasty mean goblins and throwing them in via catapult or a helicopter right into the inside. Just a few of them, but and then your soldiers will get some training and some experience and some scars from that. But why do that to them? And same thing I would compare to my body. Why would I do that to my body? Instead, I would focus on fortifying it, making it as healthy and as strong as possible so nothing can get into it and defend it. So I just wanted to finish off with that. Have a blessed day.